Hey, it's Jen
and Tara.
Welcome to another episode of Girlfriends Talk Marketing. We are coming to you again from Beacon Photo and Frame. We have a great episode today. We are talking with Deb McConkey of Bottom Line Marketing.
Yes, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back here.
Welcome back.
Yes, exactly. And thank you for tuning in. We have a great show for you today. We are going to be talking about market research and customer insights and really everything that you need to know to move your company forward and make sure that you have the data that you need to provide a great customer experience. So Deborah, diving right in, what kind of research should companies be thinking about when they're putting this type of survey in place?
Well, the important thing I think for research is you should think of it both formally and informally. But there's a lot of different ways you can incorporate it. But there's really three main types. So one I call research on the market, and that's really just for analyzing trends, seeing if there's things that are happening in your marketplace that you should be on top of, whether they be longer term population changes or things that are happening locally that might impact your business. The good thing about doing research on your market is you can do that, get that through trade publications, government statistics, and you can often just Google things and get the information that way. Mm-hmm. So there's ways of getting that. So that's something that you should keep track of. Second would be research on your competition. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be blindsided and find out that they're in your business and you didn't know it, and they've been doing it for 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways of keeping touch, like on a regular basis. Check out their websites, see what they say they're doing. Yeah. Talk to, if you have distributors, talk to them about your competitors. Talk to your customers about your competitors. Go to trade shows. I work with a company and they go to trade shows for other people just to collect competitive intelligence, because if you're not working for the company, then people will give you a lot more information and brochures. So there's ways of keeping track of that. Sometimes if you're going to a new market, then you should hire somebody to do some research on your competitors to find out a lot more information, because they can actually talk to them as well as look up information. So, but the third is probably the most important, and that is customer research, or it's also called customer insights.
Okay.
And that is keeping track of how your customers feel about you.
Oh, okay.
And that's both to see, are you satisfying their wants and needs? Are you responding to things in a timely fashion? But it's also a way to get ideas for new products.
Yep.
And to find out, if your customers themselves are changing, because whatever products you have, it's based on what you think customers need at that point in time. Right. And there's often things that change that you could supply to them, whether it be an additional service or something in an adjacent category, that wouldn't be a big stretch for you, but it would go a long way towards satisfying like the whole need of a customer.
So this sounds like a lot, but how often and how much should companies be doing in terms of let's talk specifically about the customer research.
Yep.
Well, first it depends on the business that you're in and how often it changes. Some businesses are changing every day, and some, go on longer cycles. So that impacts how often you need to speak to your customers. But I would look at it, there's one piece of it you should incorporate into your daily operations. There's many ways you can get customer feedback. It's everyone who's on the phone with your customers, it is your sales reps who talk to them, or if you go through independent reps, it's getting feedback through your website. So there's a lot of ways of collecting information just by virtue of what you do on a day-to-day basis. Think of everything that you have that goes out that a customer might be an opportunity for them to give you feedback. So they used to do it with inserts and products, and people don't send those in anymore. Registration forms, they don't really do. But there's different ways, whether it be through email, websites, whatever, that you can gather information without even asking, because there's things you're just going to get. People tell you, your customers tell you. And what's really important is that you have a way of collecting that and putting it in a place like a CRM system that is meaningful so that you can go back to it. And also a way that it is communicated to the organization, because there's usually lots of different inputs that are coming in, but they come in and they stop. They stop at the point that they've come in the department that they're in, and they don't filter out. And not only it means the organization isn't informed, but you miss opportunities to connect the dots of saying, oh, we heard this over here and this over here. These are two related things. Having to do with our shipping, or having to do with, you know, how we're answering
our training
phones.
or onboarding, implementation, anything along those lines.
Yes, so it's important to have ways of capturing and to think about that. Every interaction that you have with customers, think of it as an opportunity to get feedback, informally or formally. So now, you know, most of us have experienced with websites and things that there's usually a little survey. Would you take this survey afterwards? 2 or 3 questions. And that's one way, and certainly you should do that. But it's a lot of the informal anecdotal is anybody can do. Any company can do that. Usually it costs you nothing. And that's where you can gain a lot of great feedback. And then on a formal basis, there are things like satisfaction surveys, and those should be done at least once a year, and more often depending upon the kind of business. And again,
you should cycle that it is.
But you should really be getting that feedback on a regular basis through those automated ways. But you know, and also, of course, if there's new products, you want to be going out and talking to them. So anytime you have a big decision coming up, that's a good time to do it. And you can never do it too often, but the ones that you have to, let's say, spend more money on because you may have to do telephone interviews or things like that, or online surveys, you might do those not as frequently, meaning day to day, but you still should do them on a regular basis.
Now, would you set up something like a workflow for companies, like where every 60 or 90 days, like if a customer hits a certain stage, would they get that type of a thing? That would be part of a plan that you would help them with, right?
That would be fantastic, because the thing is, when you do, even if you do a very formalized research study where you take a sampling of your customers and go after them, that in itself, it's really important that you select the right mix so that you're getting the right feedback, so that you're not missing a specific segment, that you're getting repeat customers as well as brand new ones. And you always want to make sure you talk to customers who no longer do business with you. Those are the ones that are going to give you
the real
painful but important information. And you want to make sure you're talking to people who are not yet customers to see how you can better reach them. But yes, there are different junctures, both from a timing standpoint and perhaps a life cycle standpoint.
So it sounds like, as we're always talking about, you need to plan this.
Yes.
You need to incorporate this within your plans, and you need to think ahead so that you are not just randomly responding. You're actually integrating this into what you do on a daily basis.
Yes. You can, because you want to integrate this into your marketing communications. This is how, if you're really practicing account-based marketing.
Right.
It's knowing what to send prospects or customers at specific points in their life cycle. You don't know that unless you've gotten some feedback from them, unless you've talked to them, and understand things about their decision-making process and whether or not that's changing, what they use to make decisions. It used to be a little simpler when there were only one or
Right.
two ways
Options,
that they
yeah.
can buy, but now there isn't one single path for customers to buy and to work with you, and so you need to understand what those are. And the whole thing of having customer personas,
Yes.
that comes from research of being able to understand, not just based on demographics we serve 18 to 24-year-olds, but to really understand what do our customers look
Really
like, and
want,
what's a day like in their business day, and
Yep.
how do they incorporate our products in what they do every day. So those are the different things, depending on where you are, that you want to make sure you understand about your customers, and also understanding how they interact with your website, because that's become such an important part
Yeah.
of where they go.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I mean, every websites, 80% of traffic is on your mobile. So if someone can't immediately look you up on
Yes.
the website, or if you don't have a mobile responsive website, that's also
Yes.
a challenge as well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you should work on that. What are some of the biggest mistakes that companies, both small and large, make when it comes to
Tracking their customer experience.
yeah,
I would say the two biggest ones. One is that they don't do customer research until there's some really big problem.
gotcha.
And then they say, wow, we're losing sales like crazy and we have no idea. So then you're in this crisis mode.
Reactive mode versus proactivity.
And some of the corollary to that is you do a research study and you think you're done. And 4 years later, oh, we did that. We surveyed our customers. When was that? Oh, I don't know, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. So that's
Consistency is the key.
so consistency and understanding that it's very important. And the second biggest mistake I alluded to earlier, it's not taking advantage of information that you get every single day,
Right.
because you don't have a process for collecting it and disseminating it.
Gotcha.
And incorporating it into your meetings. Like, it should be a part of
Every
when you meet,
conversation.
when you have your regular daily, weekly meetings. This should be a part of what you've learned that day or that week.
Right.
Yeah, that's so true.
So what are some of the new innovations that we've got in customer research?
Well, there's a lot of different methods for getting information from your customers, and a lot of them are online now. So one that I used very recently that was really interesting, we partnered with a company that has a platform that enabled us to interview people just like you would, let's say, with Skype,
Yep.
and talk to them. But we also got to, because we wanted to find out for a client their customer reactions to their new website before it was released.
Oh.
So we were able to watch them while they actually navigated
Wow.
with the
That's
website
amazing.
and asked them questions, because we could see what they were doing on the website as well as see their faces and expressions, and we could
that's
ask them
amazing.
questions. It
It's
was
a little frightening,
great.
but
Well,
awesome.
it was, and
No, but knowledge is power.
Knowledge
the
is
fact
power.
that you just spend all that money on the website, you want to make sure that your customers are
Yes.
going through the way that you want.
right. So
them
this was
to.
for a larger company. They had a lot invested in it, and they were working with research scientists and really heavy duty scientists and whatnot. And so it was great to be able to find out what they were able to navigate, what not,
Right.
what they were tripping over, what things, no matter how much you want to give them information, you have to make it easy to find.
Right.
And then they also found that even though they had done this very elegant redesign, these were scientists, and they said, I want a lot of data, and I want to be able to look up things, so don't make me work too hard to get there,
Okay.
you know?
Powerful feedback.
Yes, and content is great, but for instance, even that feedback was because they were scientists. If you're talking to me, and I've had 15 years experience, I want things that are really rich and, you know,
Full of data.
and full of validity. And I want to know how your products are being used, for instance, in how they're being used in different settings.
Okay.
But younger people on board could really benefit from these other things. So those are the kinds of things that you can find
Yeah,
out.
to really incorporate, well, emerging technology with data research and like
Yes.
the capabilities that we have are.
It's great because there have been ways of tracking that, and still are, but they usually require getting people to a place
Gotcha.
where they're on a website and you can watch them. This way you can do it remotely, and you can do global. You can interview people globally, which is
That's
what
exciting.
we did.
It's super important,
Which
yeah,
was really-
especially for international business.
Yes. And there, but then there's other, so that is going to be, you know, when it's really important, and it can be on the pricier side depending on, you know, what your budget is and how many people you have to talk to. But there's also ways with similar platforms that you can have people record, and again, it's through the similar platform,
Yeah.
where people can use their phones to record their experience.
Gotcha.
So, like, okay, I've turned this on. This is what it's like walking through your
XYZ,
hospital,
yeah,
your
yeah.
store. Here's how long it's taking me to get somebody to help me, blah, blah, blah. And they can do that.
That's awesome.
Or it can be, okay, I just brought your product home. I'm opening it up now. I'm
Assembling
I'm
it,
assembling it.
reading
I
it.
can't figure out what do you mean by this?
Yeah.
I don't get this. Okay, I think you mean this and that. You can watch them install something.
Wow.
You can watch them work with something for the first time to understand, oh, they're not getting that, or oh, our instructions are confusing. And all they have to do is record themselves and upload it to this platform
Cool.
Okay.
that allows you to see that. And that, so that's a lot less expensive. There's things that you can do, focus groups, of course, online. And again, with these new technologies, they enable you to poll people without them seeing what the other people are saying.
Oh, nice.
So you don't get that
The swing,
bias. Yeah, the
yeah.
swaying when you've got a strong personality and everybody agrees with that person.
Right.
So there's that. There's also ways of having, maintaining like panels where people can, on their own time, either, you know, fill out these 2 or 3 questions and do it for whatever the period of time is, 1 week, 2 weeks, a few months. And those are all ways of, again, using technology, so it's much less expensive. And of course, you know, you can use online surveys and things like
Sure.
that. But some of these new platforms that are incorporating both
Like the actual reactions.
the reactions, the video, and people always have their phones with them. So the
Right.
fact that you can utilize that and they can tell you that way on their time,
Yes.
which is really important.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier when you don't have to, you know, schedule somebody that, okay, we're
Right.
starting at 9 a.m. and here's where you're going to be, and,
Right.
you know, we're going to call you, and then
Yeah.
they forget, or, you know, things happen. So,
Yeah.
A lot
It's
to
true.
think about. Excellent. Thank you so
Yes.
much. This has been very informative.
Yes, no, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank
It
you
was
for
my
tuning
pleasure.
in, and we will see you next time. Oh,
Yes. Where can
yeah, oh
we
yes.
find you?
Yeah, where's your website?
well, my website is Bottom Line Marketing Consulting, and I work with a great group of people, and I'd be happy to talk to you or answer your questions. My phone number is on there as well.
All right.
Excellent.
Awesome. We'll see you
Thank
soon.
you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.